quorum?
Yes, we have 7 in attendance, like 4 in person.
Or actually, we have 8.
We have 8.
Eight, okay.
Correct.
Thank you. All right, we will open up the floor to resident comments. Please start by stating your name and address, please. All right. Okay. No comments. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make motion.
Okay, second.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
Aye. Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Someone at the table?
So be it.
Oh, thank you.
Second.
Who was
I think that was that Jose?
Jose, second by Zach.
Yeah.
And seconded by Zach, thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, and we'll move to the finance report.
Alrighty, the finance committee was held Thursday, August 25th. The controller reported consolidated cash balances as of July 2022 of $1.825 million. And as of August 25th, accounts receivable were approximately $47,000. We still have some pending infrastructure projects, which Carrie will update. But financially, they're still all within our approved budget ceilings. I guess the only one that now has been completed would be the Brightview landscaping. It is now 100% complete and I believe paid. So that one will come off for next time. And for new approvals for infrastructure and just over threshold items, we have none. So pretty simple.
And then this gets posted on the website with just the snapshot of where we are through July. And so we're under budget 650,000, which is largely, again, we keep saying this.
Largely, yeah.
The gatehouse
project
budget.
renovation.
Okay. All right, thank you, Zach. So it's a little small maybe for people in the audience. So for the president's remarks, I wanted to just sort of recap, since we're really at the mid-year of this board's term together, and just to give a shout out to the board members and say thank you for your time and volunteering and other volunteers in our neighborhood. And just to take a quick moment to highlight our mid-year accomplishments. And so we really, I feel like, and I've gotten this compliment from a lot of people out in the neighborhood, so I think we really have a collaborative board. We're working together, we're in the best interest of the neighborhood, so it feels really good to be a part of this board. We're in a strong financial position, as Zach just mentioned. Collections are good. We have renovated 3 guardhouses, or soon to complete, but 3 guardhouses and the firehouse roof below 1/3 of what had been the previously approved budget line for the resident gate alone. So that was just a great way to save money for the neighborhood and improve aesthetics. We're implementing the AppFolio HOA software, which will hopefully bring some efficiencies and better visibility and transparency for our community. We passed a communications policy and increased the number of notifications via our website. Thank you to Nancy. We've made some rules amendments that were owner-centric, with the mindset of, you know, maybe changing times, things happening in our neighborhood, and how we can adapt and grow accordingly. We passed the sponsored RFID program and the associated rules there that allow some more security around guests that are frequent guests coming into the neighborhood, and just as a benefit to our residents. We're currently negotiating the Bay Point West MOU and our stakeholders agreements. We've just finished some landscaping in high visibility areas, again, working on, you know, improving aesthetics. We've completed concrete painting around the roundabout at Jan Cooley, and we've been working on some high priority road striping and painting for addressing some of the security stop bars and crosswalks. And we're in the process of refurbishing and replacing community signage throughout the neighborhood. So just And that's a lot to do in 6 months, so, just really hats off to everybody involved, volunteers, managers, vendors, everybody for working collectively together. And then just as a reminder, this was from last month, but just again, and this was in the letter that went out to homeowners, we are considering an assessment increase, and so that will be a topic for the next finance meeting, and then we can begin to start having those community engagement sessions, putting information out there to owners, getting feedback, so that we'll be ready to have a vote at the February annual meeting, just as a reminder there. And with that, I will pass it to Jen for Bay Point West and ARC.
Bay Point West had a board meeting Tuesday, the 16th of August at 6 o'clock here, and we had several new residents that offered some great suggestions. And we're gonna have another meeting September 22nd at 5:30 in this room. And bless you. Once we confirm the conference room availability, we'll schedule that meeting for sure, and we'll post that on the website. Let's see. Roads and grounds enforcement process is underway for several properties that are in need of attention. Jim Penny's been communicating with owners directly to address issues and offer assistance where needed to homeowners that are in need of help. And we've started a Bay Point West Information Center Facebook group for Bay Point West residents. We've conducted surveys and gotten resident feedback, for one about the golf cart registration, and 79% of the people who responded to the survey are in favor of golf cart registration. So it's nice to get that feedback from the community that they like what we're doing also. And we've also started a Bay Point West service providers list for owners to find and recommend businesses. I'm working to create a new resident welcome checklist. And just a reminder, Nate's picks up on Bay Point West on Monday. It'll pick up your trash can and up to 5 lawn bags. And call service usually runs Tuesday. Occasionally we'll run Friday instead, but you have to call to get that service. We would like to ask the community to keep an eye on the drains in your yard, and if you have a drain in your yard, please clear the debris, especially if there's rain coming. If you have infrastructure concerns or drainage issues or potholes, contact Nancy in the Bpca office, and in the event of flooding after hours or on weekends, please contact security first so that they can come out and assess the situation. And as far as ARC goes, we continue to approve 25 to 35 new requests per month, and the majority of requests are approved. And we've been successful in decreasing the time between project request, submission, and approval. And if you aren't sure if you should submit an ARC, just call Reggie Summers. He's always happy to come out and let you know if you should or shouldn't, or don't need to. And that's pretty much it.
Great, thank you. And then Debbie Rush isn't able to join tonight for community events, but everything is being posted on the website.
Always skip me, every time.
What? Oh, you know why? It's because I am going down the, yep, so Justin, yeah, sure, thank you.
So the canal committee met on the 7th, and I'll just kind of read this to you. They're going to send out an email and certified letter to all canal owners about all boatless meeting the current electrical code. They'll also send out or ask for pictures stating that the lifts have been installed properly. And the issue is that there's been problems with electrolysis. If there's not a full disconnect from the shore power, so whether it be 110 or 220, electrolysis gets pretty bad on the beams that stay in the water. So we're trying to make sure that every lift either has a 110 disconnect where it has a plug and an outlet, so you disconnect it every time you get done with it, or if it's 220 or hardwired 110, you have a shut off, which is just a switch that shuts off power to the lift. In addition to that, I talked to Bob again today about also sending out a letter, or in the same letter, using the appropriate zincs a lot of people were using things they bought off of Amazon or eBay, which are not appropriate. Some of them are just kind of zip tied to a zinc anode, which doesn't get the right connection to the boat lift, so again, cause electrical issues with electrolysis and eventual failure. So those letters will be going out, hopefully this month or next.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Justin. So, Debbie wasn't able to make it tonight, but on community events, everything is being posted to the website, calendar, and Nancy's also talking directly with a lot of the partners in the neighborhood, getting things directly posted. And then I guess for October, we'll talk about more in those meetings. We'll have witches ride and trick or treating and all of that, but we can talk about that next month. Governing docs. Walt, do you have anything, or I can give an update?
No, I don't have anything. Yeah, you can tell them about the letter if you want.
The letter.
Well, the update we got from the lawyer.
Oh, yeah,
You
okay.
sent me.
Yeah, as we know, we, have an attorney in John's firm working on the restated rules. She shared a very high level, just kind of a quick draft to say this is the direction she's taking it, and it's really like reorganizing, renumbering, consolidating, so I think it'll just make for a much easier to read and absorb and follow and enforce document. So I think she was out, she had a trial, something, so she's been out of the office, but I did send her an email. I'll follow up with her this week because I'd like to get us to a point where we're ready to sit down as a board and go through, in more detail. That'll be a special meeting, so I will send that out via email once I hear back from her, but hopefully we're getting close, and hopefully it's this month, sometime mid-month before the next regular board meeting, that we can look through and approve those restated rules.
She won her case, it was a big one.
Oh, good, okay, so she's in a good place now. Patrick, if you're still on, do you have an update for us, IT and technology?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of update there, but in a nutshell, we're just continuing the Appfolio rollout. At this time, the staff person doing a good job of just having a couple of meetings every week with the implementation team, and that's just proceeding smoothly as far as I'm aware, with the goal of being done by November.
Thank you, and thank you for the draft letter. I haven't looked at it yet, but I will this week, and so ideally we'll get a communication to go out to the owners that really talk more about Appfolio, what benefits it'll bring, and what they'll need to do, and kind of the timetable, so we'll get that out this week. Okay. I'll have to go back here. So that brings us to infrastructure.
Yes, the committee met on the 25th of August. No major projects for approval for tonight. Some updates on the approved projects. The three gatehouses are coming on nicely. For the main gatehouse, the renovation remaining steps are the metal window covers, the flooring, some electrical, second coat of external paint, and then their punch list. Lebanon's gatehouse, the sliding doors have been replaced with the remaining renovation of the flooring and second coat of external gatehouse painting and entry walls, and then the punch list. Jan Cooley, remaining steps of the flooring, the second coat of external paint, and the punch list. All the three gatehouse projects are currently within the budget, as Zach had said previously. The roof replacement has been initiated and I believe nearly complete on the firehouse, so that's going on very, very nicely. Some pending ongoing projects, new project road striping. You've probably seen some of the modified road stripings that we had talked about, golf cart crossings, stop signs, stripes, and crosswalks. That's been started. I think it looks really nice. Have not yet reached out for bids yet for the Delwood Road washout external driveway, extended driveway project as of yet, but that'll be coming soon. We'll talk about that at the next meeting. There is a plan to retrofit all the LED lighted gates, replacing the old gates to match what we have on the main gates. They look very, very nice. Monument signage will be placed when everything's done at the main gate. No update on the Dragon Trade Road fence replacement. I did talk to the owner of Queensberry Limited. As you may recall, we had some discussions in the past. Part of that lot, small part of that lot, between 3501 and 3511, is owned by the city because that has the pump there. Much of that remaining belongs to Queensberry, so I talked to the owner of Queensberry Lot, who's a construction company. He is interested in gifting that land to Bay Point, so we'll talk a little bit more about that and present it before we'll talk about it next infrastructure meeting. So that was a really nice conversation, a good opportunity for us. Operational projects, Panhandle Engineering is an engineering company, came in and presented for the infrastructure on their engineering support, which would include specifications for repairs and major community improvement projects, kind of similar to reserve studies. So it's a company that's worked with Bay Point in the past, knows the infrastructure very, very well. It can come in and give us some great ideas on specifications for repairs, for longevity of the repairs. But as importantly as anything else, helps us plan for the future. I know that's on the agenda. So the committee had recommended the contract for the board to look at. Landscaping across the area has been looking great across Bay Point. Sprinkler system repairs, I think they're completed right now. Seneca can help me out on it, but I know they started it and probably well on its way.
Yeah, I think most of it's all done now. It's back to normal maintenance or as they come across new stuff.
Good. And the signage improvements, things are looking good with the signage, as Zach mentioned a bit earlier, and some of those old dilapidated signs, and things are coming along nicely. So all in all, the infrastructure and the aesthetics of the Bay Point community, as Catherine said, is coming along very, very nicely. And as always, we recommend residents to contact the Bay Point office for any infrastructure issue and for updates on infrastructure projects.
Is there any chance to ask a question? Involving landscaping?
Sure, yes, please.
Thank you. Mike Walker and Jessica from Lagoon Towers 502. I just had a quick question. When we're walking around, we've noticed that it's particularly in this area out here along the post, well, right here off of Kingfish and Marriott, that some of our few remaining oak trees have red flags on them. Does that mean they're coming down? Or what does that mean?
That land is not ours.
I understand.
And so I don't wanna speak for the developer, I don't know what the plan is on that, but I can certainly, did you post something on Facebook
I did.
today? Okay, I saw that comment, so, I can reach out to them and ask them, but,
I mean, I understand, and I did say I
I
understand
saw that
property
too, yeah.
rights and something, but, I mean, we have so few, we lost so many to intentionally take down oak trees is painful.
so
It
I will.
breaks her heart.
Yeah, I will happily, make a courtesy call to him to find out what the plan, what that red tag means, and then just share
Yeah.
the sentiment that if there's
And
any
I'm sure
way
it's shared by all.
to save, right, just to save or,
Right.
but that's really all
Okay.
we can do,
And I
but
just wanted to bring it to
Yeah.
that's all.
I appreciate it, thank
Thank
you, thank you very much. I think I did that too. Okay, all right, with that, Samantha is not here, but Jim did provide a report. Jim, would you like to, I think I have it here. Do you want me to, I can just read it since you have it here? Okay. We are down to the last 2 months of the hurricane season, and that is good news, but there's still 2 months to go. Jim, come on now. And we need to stay prepared for any eventuality. Hurricane Michael was an October surprise that lasted for the next 2 years, so don't let your guard down. Stay prepared, have any extra supplies you feel you might need on hand, and remind yourself that Panama City Beach is an island, and there can come a time when it is too late to leave. Having an exit plan already thought out that includes the signs that signal it is time to leave can be very important and a possible lifesaver. Contact security and let them know if you plan to stay or leave. We will work with you in any event. Those that live on the canal or have boats that will need to be tied up in the canal should be prepared to do so when the time comes, and it is your responsibility to know when that time has come. There are rules meant to protect your boat while it is tied up, and there are rules meant to protect the owner whose dockside you are tied to. So stay prepared and ready for anything, because as Yogi Berra once said, it ain't over till it's over. Golf carts are still our #1 problem, and we are still hoping for a golf cart registration program so that we can identify those carts that belong in Bay Point and those that are not registered or belonging to Bay Point residents. Bay Point Security is still looking for a few good men or women to work in security. anyone looking for a job, both full-time or part-time, stop by and talk to us. Things are slowly getting better, but there's still a long way to go. No matter how many things get done, there always seems to be one more thing we need to have done. But that probably is because there are so many projects underway at the same time. Once again, let me remind you that Bay Point Security is a service organization. We are here to assist you when you need help. If you fall, we will help you get to your feet. We will jumpstart your car when the battery is dead. When you go on vacation, we will watch your house and we will do our best to keep you safe. We may never be perfect, but our goal is to be better today than we were yesterday. Thank you for that, Jim. And I also just, since you mentioned all the projects, just an acknowledgement to all the security staff working in those guardhouses and all of the flux, and they've been in and out and traffic is rerouted, so thank you to your team for that. Okay, next item is stakeholders. Doug?
Can you address that?
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to.
Deborah?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So, we sent a proposed agreement, new stakeholders agreement to the Stakeholders Council. We've invited them to a meeting this Thursday at 2 p.m. to discuss that. We've confirmed attendance from all three. Wonderful. That's, so the council will meet, and then, hopefully at the next meeting, we'll be voting to approve the new agreement.
Catherine,
Yes.
may I ask what the stakeholder council is?
Oh, yeah, so the stakeholders are the commercial partners, so it's the marina, the golf course, and the Sheraton. And then together with Bpca, there's shared allocation of costs for the security, kind of they call it the common commercial area. So cost of manning Jane Cooley Gate, some of the improvements that happen along, in this corridor. And it's, there's an allocation of who pays what share. Bay Point pays the lion's share of it, because it is our neighborhood, our property, but they do make contributions just to maintain and secure that area.
Good to know, thank you.
They have customers, hopefully they see a benefit to the things, being done in that area as well, so. So that's stakeholders.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Okay, Deborah, GM report.
Okay, so since last month, we have completed all the performance evaluations for all of our Bpca employees, our CPU, post office employees, as well as performance appraisals for all security, so we're totally complete in that. We are having an issue with with the Nissan security truck. I've been working with them on a buyback, and we'll hear more about that in a few minutes. I met with Tammy Estep to get a proposal for a monthly cleaning of all the security gates now that we have them almost complete. Once they are complete, she's gonna come in and do an in-depth cleaning to get out all the, the building dust and stuff like that, and then she can take stickers off the windows of the new doors and stuff, and then she'll come in once a month to do a cleaning of all the security gates. In terms of the gates, which I know everyone has been a little, some people have had issues with them. We, at the bar 72, that gate remains open. Today, they were supposed to come out from WOW. It was hit by lightning once again, and the modem was burnt out. WOW was supposed to be on property today to replace that, and tomorrow, once they replace that, our IT and Kevin, all they have to do is do some behind the scenes downloading of stuff to get that one back up and running. Reflections gate down here, they replaced an AMEG card, which is the reader that actually reads the tags and then signals the gate to operate. They replaced it about a month to 6 weeks ago, and the one that they put in died. So as soon as that one comes out, and I think they're gonna have that on Friday, and they'll be back on Friday to finish up our IP address changes at the residence Thomas and the Thomas Drive, and they're gonna do that repair down at that gate. So everything is kind of in a temporary hold for now, but by the end of this week, we should have everything back up and running. And they're also checking out the Legends Gate, which was reported to have, a strange noise coming from the motor. So I've alerted, Gory Reagan about that, and that is one of the things they're gonna check as well. And I just wanna add that since we've signed our management agreement with them, they have been wonderful. All I have to do is pick up the phone, call, Kevin, and he takes care of everything. He's been putting in all the service orders, he's been doing everything, and they tend to come out more promptly, which is much appreciated. And they're working with our IT guys, programming and getting all that stuff up and running as well. Let's see, the only other thing, we have started planning the annual meeting. The date for that will be the same weekend that was last year, February 11th. And that went out in the first notification in the September 1st assessment. So excuse me, the board vacancies were listed in there as well. And as of today, we have had no one volunteer or send in a self-nomination for that. So this is just a reminder, anyone wanting to do that too, that is in your packet from your September 1st statement. And you can send those in whenever as soon as possible. That has to be here by October 15th.
October 15th,
Mhm.
okay,
And that's it.
thank you. Okay, we'll move to new business. So the first item is to consider, an engineering services contract. If we have a motion and a second, then we can discuss.
You're talking about for Panhandle? Alright, I make a motion to approve Panhandle Engineering's proposal.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and so now it's been moved and seconded, so now we will have discussion. Zach, will you lead the opening on this?
Yeah, the gist of it is, so currently we have I don't want to say service contract, but we have a contract with.
The master service.
SCE Engineering currently, we have a contract that expires in December, that basically, the contract just is listing out the services they will provide, at the hourly cost they will provide, as well as some fee breakdown for any, I guess, larger capital projects. We've used SCE for, the Redfish Pond, as well as a few other items. It doesn't appear that we've used them much more outside of that for, I guess, smaller projects, as well as, and I don't know if this might be a communication gap, but they're supposed to be sitting in our monthly meetings, they're not here. I don't know if it's because we're not reaching out to them or they're not reaching out to us. They're also an out-of-town engineering firm, so we pay for their travel every time if we need to have them come out and assess anything. So as I've been digging around our office, there is tons of documentation from Panhandle Engineering over the past years of where they've done lots of work in our neighborhood. And it sparked a phone call to reach out to them about kind of why it seems like there was a hard stop in 2014 when they left property. It doesn't seem like there was a really reasoning of why they left. I think it's just, as we all know how this works, new boards, new people, new relationships. And so it's kind of where we are, I guess, again today, in that we're considering Panhandle Engineering not so much to be the sole service engineering contractor, just another contractor to be on our books, so we can start using them and have agreed upon pricing if we do use them. Both engineers seem to have been pretty open with me in that if you don't like us, don't use us. So this is not you use them and use them only, though there's probably a benefit to, once you get rolling with an engineer, that you probably keep them in the know so that it makes projects easier in the future. But right now, I can confidently say, as I sit on the infrastructure committee, we are not utilizing engineering at all. And our infrastructure is our largest ticket item. And though we do have, a vendor that's doing a lot of repairs for us, and we, think he's doing a great job, there's just not a third party besides that would be either someone in the admin or someone of a board member or committee member to check them but as we all know, none of us are engineer qualified, or we build roads for a living or anything like that, to where we can confidently say that the money that we spent is, the work that was done is correct. So, I think Catherine had it listed out. There's a few different options of what we could do, but, one of them was to go ahead and get the Panhandle Engineering approved, and that doesn't bind us to just using them only. It's just, it gets pen to paper on what the price is and what kind of work they can provide to us.
And in reference to that was in the email when I shared the agreements. So the SCE contract terminates 12/31. There's no clause to terminate, but there's also no exclusivity clause that prevents us from having another engineer doing this type of work. And so, the decision points are stay with SCE, don't stay with SCE, hire Panhandling, hire someone else. I mean, we have a couple of different ways to go, but this is the one that's on the table, given, as Zach said, the history and then the meeting that they had with management and some committee members.
They do kind of inspections after the fact?
They'll come here, they'll give the scope of work, they'll come do in-progress inspections, as well as do a post-inspection to verify that what was scoped out or what was.
Even on all the minor stuff we got.
Every little thing we want. I think it was $125 if the site engineer, which we actually got to meet him, he would be our quote-unquote project engineer. So if we ever needed a physical engineer on the property, it quoted what his price would be, is like $125 an hour. And then if we just need like a project technician, it was like $75 an hour, and I'm sure those guys would be a lot of office admin as well as they draft up the scope of work, but,
And SCE isn't currently giving us those kind of.
and this, like I said, it's a lot of that we might not be using them, and maybe that's, our problem that we haven't requested their services. But they're not reaching out to come try to say, hey, we wanna sit on, we've given them 2 decent sized jobs. And I don't know if they, besides when we've requested them to follow up about how things are going, I don't recall that they have followed up
And I assume their hourly starts when they leave, we
when
will.
they leave the office.
Yeah, so that's a long commute time. And I believe when I was on the infrastructure committee prior to joining the board, they were heavily involved with the gate, the resident gate, the whole plan, what was happening there. And so I don't know if that's because at that time we had DMRP that we had canceled their contracts. I don't know, then it ebbed into then, well, they can be our engineer. So I don't know that was how well thought out or discussed. It was not a board agenda item to hire them, and so if all of that was being considered, what to do. My concern is that, and I know Panhandle has the history, we are embarking on like a whole new environment. I mean, we've lost all these trees, the groundwater level, the saturation, the flooding, is it that we need to completely revamp systems given this new normal where we sit post Hurricane Michael? Also with John's plans for these new canal systems, we need someone sitting on our side of the table that fully understands, the scope of all of that. And so, I think we have some big engineering needs coming up, and I wanna make sure that I would like to see us, look at several companies and have them come and present to the board and hear their full scope of services and what they can offer, kind of just understanding where we are today. That doesn't preclude us from signing this agreement, as Zach said. We have multiple engineers to be able to do different scopes of work, and this would all be just based on a work order or a task order, I think was their terminology. But I just think.
And this is Walt. I read the proposed contract, and I don't see a downside of it. It doesn't preclude us from hiring somebody else, like you said, if we want to. So, in my opinion, we ought to just go ahead and approve it and move on.
I don't see a downside to it either. As long as you're open to.
Yeah, it's a 1-day termination clause, 1-day written notice to terminate.
1 day by certified mail. Yeah, which is a term,
Yeah.
opportunity for consultation.
Yeah, an opportunity for consultation, right?
Do we know for sure that there's no conflict insofar as, them providing services for, BP Links or?
I don't believe they're doing anything with
The
BP
Gordon
Links.
Engineering.
Guatemala's doing that. They are the engineer for Ali. Which, you know, so that's something to
We
consider.
have the
that-
same civil engineer for SBP Links, would there ever be a conflict there?
All I'm thinking of is what Catherine was just speaking about, canal systems and
Right.
things like that.
The man-made changes that, I think we would wanna have separate opinions on that, just to ensure we're protecting our interests, and then whatever the secondary or tertiary effects of those changes would be, not
Yeah,
there.
I don't think that's terrible problem, as long as we make sure people assigned to work with BPCA, do not work with anybody else that would be, a conflict.
Would Ali, I mean, the neighboring property, is that a conflict?
Yeah, I mean, people who work with us can work with us and not a lead, unless there is no conflict there. I don't know that there is a conflict.
Yeah.
I don't think with Ali
I don't
there
see-
would be,
no.
I don't see
yeah,
that there would be, unless,
I wanna see it being a benefit for the elite
Right, that's what I'm
situation rather than
thinking
a
too.
conflict, and then obviously, but I think we can bring it, this goes back to, you know, this is where Panhandle said, if you don't like us, fire us, and that we can still bring in when that time comes, we can bring in consulting engineers to help protect our interests so that we're not getting blindsided by anything. And I still think I mean, it seems like we're all in agreement with going ahead and accepting. This appears to be more maintenance side of things on the get-go, just having our current vendor as well as maybe even using other vendors to have someone go and inspect the work they're doing, help provide scope of work. And then when it comes to what they're calling capital projects, where let's say, hey, we're gonna repave Wahoo Road, at that time, we could still bid out an engineering, and, you know, say, hey, 3 engineers, we're gonna repave Wahoo Road, can you give us, you know, what's your percent, it seems like most of those would be percentage based, what's the percentage you'll give us, to provide the engineering services for that?
Any other comments? Okay. So when that has been moved and seconded to approve the engineering services contract, master services agreement with Panhandle Engineering, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. The next item is, as Deborah hinted in her report, we have had terrible issues with the Nissan, the 2020 Nissan security truck that we purchased. She provided a detailed rundown, or Jim, I think, put this together, and we've had to replace an engine, we've had a crankshaft issue, we've had just one thing after another. We have paid very little in out-of-pocket repairs as Nissan was trying to make this right. We are now at a point where Nissan has reached out to Deborah to initiate a vehicle repurchase, that they've somewhat acknowledged that this vehicle has reached that point. What did they say? Basically after it comes in 3 times for
Right,
the same thing.
right, and if you read the list here, the crankshaft was mentioned, I think, 6 times. Yeah, so they give the dealership 3 opportunities to correct the error. If they cannot correct the error, they call, they can either repurchase it or give you a trade-in, basically.
And they offered, I believe, if we don't want to go this route, they would pay us, was it $3,500? $3,200. We keep the vehicle and get $3,200, I guess, for just our trouble, and we move on. The other option is to pursue the vehicle repurchase agreement, and this is just the top of the letter, just to give everybody a sense of what's going on here. That repurchase price, it's a negotiation, it's based on a formula of items, the year, the mileage, all of these different factors go into it. but then to negotiate and they would come up with a price that they would repurchase the vehicle back. And I can make the motion is to authorize the negotiation of the vehicle repurchase agreement. Which would just be giving Deborah the board's blessing to move forward with those discussions. Once we know what the final amount is that they're proposing, it would come back to the board for approval. We'd probably just call a quick special meeting, jump on the phone to go through that. So the motion is to authorize negotiation of the Nissan vehicle repurchase. Is there a
I'll second that.
Thank you, Walt. Is there any discussion or questions, comments?
In regards to the Nissan truck?
Just the Nissan, just the repurchase agreement.
We had to have a rental when it was down?
No. No, we did not have a rental when it was down, and at one point in time, they had it in the shop for a full month. Nissan has brought in 2 factory techs actually into the site where the truck was to see if they could fix it. When they did that, they found that a heat shield was missing. They put it all back together, sent it back to us, and the problem reoccurred again. They've also brought in 2 engineers, one right after the crankshaft and the heat shield was found missing, and the last time that we took it back in there, they called to have a second engineer come from the factory to, go through the vehicle, and they still have no clue what's wrong with it. The other thing that you might be interested in is they offered that amount for us to keep, as a little I'm sorry, and you can keep the vehicle. But the problem with the vehicle is when these air lights come onto the dashboard, the vehicle shuts down and will not drive above 15 miles an hour. So pretty much we would have a vehicle that no one can fix.
Right.
Yeah.
That's gonna become the new speed limit in Daytona.
Yeah.
By default.
15, only go back to 15 miles.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
How much we paid originally for that vehicle?
After trade-in was a little over $20,000, then we had the extra for the lights and the decals and the radio and all that being put into it, cost us another few thousand.
I hope that all those additional costs that now we lost, will come into the negotiations to Nissan. Because, they're gonna have to, come close to what we paid for that vehicle. And I agree with getting rid of it.
Yeah,
That was the fact.
We'll see how good their negotiation skills are.
right. So I think then it sounds like we can, and again, we'll come back to this once we get the amount, and if we're not satisfied with that amount, we can always, send it back to the table and see where we can go. But so it's been moved to authorize negotiation of the repurchase agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Yes.
Make one point in the negotiation process. I see in this letter the reference to a confidential settlement agreement to be signed. The association cannot agree to a confidentiality agreement because all of these records become part of the official records.
Right.
And they must be open for inspection by all members and for copies. So any confidentiality agreement has to have an exclusion for recognizing that the records have to be made available to owners, and we have no control over what they do with them.
Deborah, do you want a board volunteer to join you in these conversations or give you any support or?
Well, when I get the letter back, we will share it, and I will certainly, have a conversation, particularly with
Yeah.
you and David, because he's our numbers guy, So, and I will only move forward when we put together a plan,
Okay. Alright.
when we see what the numbers are.
All right, good. You'll give us some money back. Thank you. And so then part B of this is now the, next item, which is to consider, the purchase of a new security vehicle, since now we only have one functioning vehicle. So is there a motion? We can move in second and then we can discuss.
A motion to purchase a new Toyota truck, whatever this one is. Is that it? Yeah. I make a motion
I
to.
second.
Okay, alright, so it's been moved second, so let's, discuss. So Jim, so we bought the other Toyota, earlier this year, from Mariana Toyota. So Jim went back to Mariana Toyota, just given a good relationship with them, and they provided, the repurchase, or excuse me, the quote here, for a new, sorry, I'm trying to get to my, see it here. For a new Toyota Tacoma 2022, which is the same as what we have now.
Right here.
So same vehicle,
$284 more.
than what we bought the other one for. And what,
The only problem I see is
no, it's white, and that's what I wanted to point out. So this one is white, the other brand new one is black. So there was an issue about availability. If anyone's bought a car recently, you know what this looks like. Can we get black? Black might be more, there might be a higher demand for black, it might take time, it might cost more.
I mean, you could go somewhere with Toyota, and they may have a black one, and just say, this is what we've got, price it worth, and maybe Toyota, you can have this, we want black.
And that's, I did ask, so there's this comp sheet, and so for those calling in, there was a comp sheet of some other vehicles that were available, just to give us, so we can kind of see what a Nissan, a Ford, a Chevy costs. So thank you, Jim, for putting this together, and they're all, more or less in that same price range. Did you talk, I'm looking at Jim now, did you talk to the local Toyota and see if they had any black Tacomas?
Not if they had black, they're just way above the one Mariana, the Toyota in Mariana. They're way above the price.
Okay,
But I can go back and see. In fact, I can see if they can probably order a black one, it'll just be more time, more money probably.
and
Or at least more time.
that was one of the things I asked to see how long it would take and what the price difference was from Mariana.
I can probably find out in a couple of minutes.
Okay, if you can, text someone over there. And I guess that maybe just a quick show of hands or do we care enough that they're both black? So I have nods.
No.
People on the phone, do you care?
I don't,
I don't care at all. I think it's a big issue. We've had 1,000 different color insurance and security since, I grew up here. I think having the trust on control is what's important.
I think it would be kind of cool to, instead of using the white lettering, use black lettering on the white one, and that would be perfect.
I think we need some kind of.
Yeah, I think we're missing, coming from infrastructure side of us trying to uniform the neighborhood and beautify the neighborhood, I think it's a worse, now, I could be sold if it's months before we get one, yes, but if it's simply talking to another dealership and saying, hey, we can get you one in a week or two, and it's not that different of a price, I would think we try to uniform everything.
Get it back in black.
Get it
Let's
wrapped?
back.
Yeah.
Well, and Jim, isn't there, a golf cart that security has that you can use in the interim if necessary?
Needs to be fixed.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know, it just isn't
I
right.
want to see the golf carts.
Yeah, I saw Panama City golf carts.
Yeah.
Or where'd you buy it?
I don't know, it's been around for about 25 years now.
Oh, so it might be time to buy a golf cart,
Yeah.
is what I'm hearing.
Or I just need you back?
Or, yeah, something, yeah.
I think it's been around since, I think it's 94, we got that thing.
Okay, yeah,
We can find us.
a black
Base model
Tacoma,
Toyota
black
Tacoma.
Tacoma.
Yeah.
So,
You might have to find it.
so what we can, so the
Glad we
current,
didn't get it.
we have this one is priced at 30,000. We can, as a board, approve to purchase a new Toyota, or a 2022 Toyota Tacoma.
That's 30,000 with taxes and everything.
That's everything, right?
Out the door, yeah.
So all in, everything, tax, title, all of it. For 30,000, we can approve as a board at 30,000, and then that gives us the financial approval to move forward, but I would like, and again, to Zach's point, if it's 6 months or $6,000 for black, I say no. If it's a month, I say, let's get black.
Would we be buying this?
In your motion, Catherine, I would suggest you also include 2023, because I'm not sure you're gonna be able to get 2022 much longer.
Yeah, and then, and we could also, I mean, Jose, did you wanna say something?
Yeah, I just said that's a very good point. These times, you're not gonna find too many 2022s, especially if you speak in the car.
Okay, so,
Would we be buying this one before we made the negotiations?
I don't-
Go back to Nathan?
yeah, so Justin just asked, just for people on the phone, just asked if we would wait to buy this until we finalize the negotiation. That is an option. I don't know how long that negotiation process takes. We could table this, but my worry, we're gonna have to buy a new truck either way.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we keep the old one, it doesn't work, so we need a second.
Hopefully no one from Nissan's in here that knows that, but yes, yeah, we're buying, yeah, I think we gotta buy.
Oh, yeah, we're giving away
Our negotiation
our
tactic.
negotiating position.
I can go by tomorrow at noon. I just tried to call a guy and he just didn't answer.
Okay.
I can find out by noon tomorrow if they have a black one and, I mean,
Okay.
we get it all straightened out.
Right, I mean, it's not like we're looking for a very specialized vehicle, I mean, it's a black base model Toyota Tacoma.
I think,
We ought to, Catherine, we ought to probably authorize the purchase, now, because that Nissan could stop tomorrow and not run for another month.
Oh, it's already
The
stopped.
Nissan isn't here.
Yeah, the
It's
Nissan's,
not even on property.
yeah, it doesn't even work, they can't even drive it, so we're in a bind. And the other piece of it
Well,
is,
yeah, we need to start now.
yep, and then once we find the vehicle we want, we need to be prepared to buy it that moment, because cars are just flying off, you know. Anyone that drives down 23rd Street or 15th Street can see there are no cars, so.
Right.
What happened was, they were looking at when vehicles, that, they looked at all the deals around, who was getting what, from what I understand. And, they could, before, 2 weeks ago, they could have gotten a black one. The next one up that they could get was this white one, and I think the difference, if you wanted black, was like $700 or something like that, so.
Okay,
That was what I just kinda said, well, we'll go with the cheapest one, because it was
Okay.
like, but that could be different tomorrow.
right.
But I can know by noon tomorrow what they got, that we can get soon, I guess, you
Yeah.
know?
So John, can we approve the make and model and the price, but then color, we can sort of just figure out what's available and,
We just approve the black one, and then if we get bad feedback, then we'll just send an email out saying, hey.
but we can't vote via email. And that's what, so does color have to be part of what we're approving? Or do we have?
You know, I'll tell you how I think we ought to do it. Select a committee of 2 or 3 people, including Jim, and we just approve, we give them the authority to go make the deal and trust them.
So, dollar amount and vehicle type, and then, okay. All right, so let's revise, who made the motion? Did I make the motion?
No,
I
Zach
mean,
made the
everybody's
motion.
just-
You-
Right.
Okay, so would you like to pull back your motion and restate a new motion?
Okay, I rescind my motion. Alright, I make a new motion to purchase a new 2022 Toyota Tacoma Access Cab SR model, with the, what's the purchase price? Are we gonna go right with what this one says?
I would go up,
Go up
just in case we wanna pay the premium for the black.
$32,000? $32,000, not to exceed, and we will assign a committee to go find that vehicle.
And I,
Hey, could we
Yeah.
change that to 22 or 23, Zach?
22
Yeah.
or 23.
Okay.
will you say it again, Zach? It's a test.
Can
It's a test.
Alright, I make a motion to purchase a 2022 Toyota Tacoma, 2023, sorry, we'll say I start over again. I make a motion to purchase a 2022 or 2023, I guess I'll label it even there, new Toyota Tacoma Access Cab SR model, and assign a committee to purchase that vehicle not to exceed $32,000.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Walt. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now, who would like, can I get 2 volunteers? Zach is raising his hand. Justin's raising his hand. Okay, so we have Zach and Justin that will work together with Jim, to locate and identify and purchase the vehicle. Thank you. Okay, all right, so
Do we
moving.
have to authorize the modifications for the radios and stuff?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
The threshold.
They've been taken out of the Nissan and that, so we'll have,
Can we
we'll have-
we can
yes, we'll
reuse?
have cost and everything to reinstall and then put
And
the
put
decals, new decals back on.
So that's just
You know,
a few $100, $1,000.
It'd be about $800.
Yeah, it was about 1,000 on the
Yeah.
last one.
Okay, Doug, thank you for bringing that up, that's a great point, but because we're taking it off the relatively new vehicle, we can repurpose those and just reinstall and then do the decaling. So that'll just be a management, authorized, under threshold transaction. But thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so we can move on to the next, new business item, which is, Bay Point roads and grounds violations. Let's see, so I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but we did receive a packet of several homes that have, in Bay Point West, that do have roads and grounds violations. They've received letters, courtesy letters, then warning letters, then letters and letters, so we can see that has all happened. And so just as it's Bpca's job to enforce these things, we're the overarching association, we can decide, right now we're at a place where we need to decide what to do next. And so, there are 3 things that we can do as a board. One is to levy the fine, to approve to levy the fine. The second is to suspend their use rights, and basically that would be shutting off their RFID. And then the third is to initiate pre-suit mediation to resolve these items. And it was recommendation of council that we can do all 3 of these at once, and then just to get the ball rolling on the mediation. Deborah, we've done this in the past, and the response has been very better, I think, when they get this letter about the mediation. So I guess we can take these, I'll name out the house number, and then if we have a motion from the board. So the first one is 1515 Trout Lane. Do we have a motion?
So moved. My motion is to do all 3 at the same time.
Okay, and so Walt, was that you making the motion?
I am.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Oh, do we need,
The specifics of what the fine amount is for how many days.
okay,
And the fine is related, it's cumulative measure, it is not to prohibit future violation. It is fining for violations that have occurred.
okay,
Correct. I'm sure the fines on all of these have reached $1,000.
so these are, this first one is dated, the officially warn you of a violation is May 31st. There was a courtesy on March 28th, and I think with this one, it's paint, exterior, and trim, and also removal of rubbish and debris, so can it be two separate fines for two separate violations? Okay. So with that, Walt,
And it's been more than 10 days, obviously.
yeah, the 10-day grace period has ended.
So your motion would be specific to the amount of the fine or fines
Mm-hmm.
and specific to, so specific amount for what dates?
Okay.
You know, I don't know the specific amounts. Kevin, does anybody in the room know the specific amounts?
Deborah, did you get all that stuff together and ready for this?
This is the only thing that was, out there on your whatever they call it,
Smart
Webs. Yeah, I don't have any of the fining. There's nothing here that states that fines have been initiated by Bay Point West or what they are.
So there's a question about whether our fines are correct or not. It really should be BPW/BPCA fines.
Mm-hmm.
Because even Deborah, I'm sorry, even Denise Hines said, I don't know what we're doing right. So that's the reason for this.
So these letters that were sent from Bay Point West, not from BPCA. So BPCA then takes over for Bay Point West as if BPCA has sent these letters?
BPCA is imposing the fine as the enforcing agency, so to say. And so you have, the motion that's being made is to impose fines. Okay, and it's going to be to impose fines on this property and this owner, and whatever amounts, for whatever violations,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever days. Okay, so we need to have specifics, and then there'll be a notice, a written notice that goes to the owner to give that information. And to give an opportunity for a hearing, at least 14 days notice, opportunity for hearing before the fine and suspension committee. So, it needs to be very specific
Mm-hmm.
as to all of those elements, of what the violation was, what specifically has been violated. What days of the continuing violation.
Mm-hmm.
And if the notice was sent, if it started in March or May or something.
This one goes back to March.
It could be
This one goes to
any 10 days
June
in
14.
that period.
Is this a committee that's already done all that?
Yeah, Jim, do you have the specifics of when the violation started, when it, like, just to help us structure?
So we have documentation that is in Smart Webs. That was all prior to my being involved. So that's the only thing we have right now, is that we haven't done anything since, other than to ramp up the activity level. I want to suggest that, yes, we can pursue this one, as you're indicating, but I think the bigger issue is to sit down with John Townsend to better define, look at our rules, better define how we handle these specific norms. What fines are allowed under the current rules, and to make sure we're following the procedure. And we can initiate, whether it's Smart Webs, some other, no question is gonna be a certified letter following the steps that John's indicated. But I'm not comfortable just using what we have. We can ride what we have.
Right.
So BPCA does not have any type of fines committee, right? But we just get reports from all the committees and there's no fine committee.
It's more of a, I mean, a procedural, I mean, that's part of the statute, that for any fine to be,
But
any
it's
fine to
only
be
Bay Point
levied.
West people though.
No, this is separate. You hold this, when, how
The
often?
appeal, are you talking about the appeals
The
committee?
fines
Yeah,
committee,
that's
that they go
I remember that was
through,
an issue
They
before, because
go-
we talked about we didn't.
after our director training, we flagged that. And so
Okay.
now, at these meetings, they read through every citation, every fine, everything that's being levied, and then they approve the fine then, and that's the action that starts that clock ticking for appeal, right? Is that
Those actions have, they can't do anything against us until they come here.
confused.
Committee is, my understanding is that's what's functioning as your fine suspension committee.
Yes.
Correct.
For the purpose of satisfying the statutory requirement to give the owner or guest or whoever it is that's being fined
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity for a hearing with at least 14 days notice.
Mm-hmm.
After the board has voted to impose the fine. So the board votes to impose the fine,
Okay.
and that's where I'm saying you need all the
Right.
specifics you need.
That's what I'm getting at.
Right,
We
so
don't
our,
have any
we're not,
knowledge.
right, our board is not
Being
voting
briefed
to
on-
impose fines.
How are we gonna vote on something that we're trying to avoid what we're in right now? I never knew this was a thing.
perfect.
Uh,
So like the committee chair of that should always now, I need to report.
We got a black one.
Ah,
There you go.
done, thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah,
When it's brought before the board, you need to have that information.
and that's for any fine. So we are not, that is not currently happening.
You need to be able to say the fine is being imposed for violation of X.
By the Bpca
What
board.
is the covenant provision, what is the rule, whatever it is, the governing documents is being violated specifically.
That's anything.
Any fine.
Even a moving violation, speeding ticket, everything.
Every fine needs to be tied to a specific violation. And if it is for more than one day, so you're gonna do it on a recurring basis, up to 10 days. And the statutory follows $100 maximum for up to 10 days, $1,000. But if and I'm not sure if the governing documents have in the rules or anywhere else a specific fine. I think you do on some of the things like the gate issue.
Right, 1,000 for this, 250, 50, yes. we
Like
have-
all of our fines for citations, you actually reviewed all of those, and all of those are taken right out of our governing documents.
Mhm.
Okay, so whatever that fine schedule is, then that's the fine that you would impose, or, approve.
We can impose those in the documents though without it having to be approved at this table though, or no?
No, the board has to levy a fine,
Okay,
the board has to,
and that is by a board vote
a board vote.
with a motion that Justin violated X rule, the fine is $50. Okay,
Yes. Or suspension of.
of use rights.
Either one of the specifics, okay? And then once
That's not
that,
happening.
I can, I can definitely do it on.
Well, no, but I'm saying, what I'm saying is
understanding is that's what is happening tonight.
for
For these-
for these ARC violations,
We're
yes.
we're issuing fines.
For moving violations, all these things, and that never comes before the board.
Well, the traffic violations and all that kind of stuff, you've already approved doing.
Okay.
Okay.
Through the citation process.
Okay, so that, it's just
You've
these,
authorized-
yes,
You've authorized staff to implement those.
okay, so that's fine.
Yeah, but for any others that.
An ARC or roads and grounds violation.
Fine, levy fine for a violation.
Okay. That's clear now. So, I think the issue though is that we do not have readily available unless you're able to pull this together, Jen? The information?
Yeah, I would have done it for, I didn't bring this, I didn't put it on the agenda, so I just assumed.
Okay, well then, can you make our motions then?
Yes.
Walt, would you kindly rescind your motion because Jen is pulling up,
Yes, I rescind my motion.
thank you, so Jen is pulling up details, you're looking at smart webs?
I'm looking at what, Deborah.
Traffic signs don't have to be, I'm just watching you doing that, I'm talking. The traffic signs don't have to be approved by the board, but I feel like there has to have been other, I mean, there's been other, I feel like I've been a part of fines that weren't traffic related that weren't approved at the board.
Like what?
You would have, don't they impose, haven't we do other ARC fines like this before that aren't?
But I think that's been part of the problem, and that's why we need the MOU with Big Point West, is to spell out the the enforcement piece of
Gotcha.
doing all this, cause they can go around all day long and say,
You're in violation.
you're in violation, you'll be subject, I think the language here is, you know, you could be subject to a fine up to X dollars, but they don't have, Bay Point West Board doesn't have the authority to actually then levy the fine.
Gotcha.
Which is what we're trying to do here, to give them the backing.
So this is like a Jeff Anderson scenario where they would come with fines, couldn't.
Because that letter came from an individual BP West board member
And not
saying,
HOA.
I fine you rather than this
HOA.
body.
Yeah. No one can find anything outside of what this board already has approved. The traffic is covered because we've already, $50,000 damage gate stuff, that's already,
It's in the fee schedule.
it's in a fee schedule, we've approved it, it can be enforced without having to be approved here.
But they still have to give them a notice and an opportunity for a hearing.
Yes,
Okay.
and that we're doing.
And now we're doing it.
Okay.
Monthly basis.
And while you're talking about it, the appeals committee is who, and who appoints it?
The appeals.
Hey, Catherine,
Yes, Jose.
just for my notification, when Walt made the motion, he said for all three properties. Yet the package that I have in front of me has 4 properties, with various issues.
Yeah, I think he was referring to all 3 actions, meaning levy a fine, suspend use rights, and initiate
Oh,
pre-suit
okay.
mediation.
Got it.
And we'll take them, we've gotta do them one by one for the different properties
Got it.
Do this every time there's
for ARC.
a issue?
Just because we don't have a,
roads and grounds.
we don't have them, that's only because Bay Point West is not BP, like, they're saying it's separate right now.
But if we set a set fee schedule, does that change it, like the moving infractions?
And can we come up with?
Like if we give the general manager the authority to levy the fine,
Yeah, like this.
just like we give security the
Violation of
authority.
covenant 32 is a $250 fine.
I think you can do that. I think the difference is that there are so many nuances to, architectural control, and that sort of thing, that it really needs to be brought to the board.
Does it require a board meeting every time?
Yeah, so there's notices going out.
Yeah.
So what you do is it's,
That becomes an agenda of every
Well,
month.
yeah.
I thought he had a good
Oh, you did have
He
a
was
good
the appeals.
Yeah,
And
Jeff.
there's one person on the Bpca side, that's,
The,
County Senator.
the appeals committee traditionally is, well, first of all, you have to find people who will volunteer, and that's been a big issue. We've
Who
had,
appoints it?
it should be approved by, the president of the board, but we've been running with the same group of people for the past 2 years, so we really haven't changed that committee. And they are all, owners that are not related to any of the board members. So they have to be willing to serve, they have to, not be related, and it's very difficult getting enough people. You have to have 3 members, at each meeting. We've had the same committee, like I said, for the past 2 years. And, we lost 1 member, and we just cannot find a lot of people to replace them.
So we don't let anybody out of the room that's not on the board, unless they're on the committee?
Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for coming, thanks for coming to
Thanks, y'all.
tonight's meeting.
Thanks for volunteering.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
You have to have a required kind of committee. The answer is no, unless you impose a fine or suspension of use rights. And then you have to
Then
have.
we have to have it.
Have to have the appeal.
So my recommendation is what you heard at the board education classes, is, you should have a standing and suspension committee. And like that was saying, the statute outlines who can be a member and cannot be a member of that committee. You cannot be a board member, any family member, board member, or
Anyone living with a board member?
But it's, the appeals committee is the same thing, right?
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay,
You all use your appeals committee as your fine and suspension.
right, okay.
And the statute does not call it a fine and suspension. That's what we have come to call it, because it is for the purposes of hearing owners who have challenge.
What's been imposed on them.
So that's the purpose of the committee. So
Okay.
the better citation is issued that finds somebody, they can be given notice of what the next upcoming hearing date is that's more than 14 days away.
Okay.
And that sounds like a pretty important committee, given especially if we're gonna keep writing out these, hey, office, whatever, you guys have sole discretion to levy these up to these numbers, and we don't see it unless
Right.
an appeals committee, which sounds like a difficult committee to get a hold of.
And then from there, they can appeal
If they don't come,
to the board after
Correct.
that, correct? Isn't that, okay? So that, we would only see it at that point, yeah.
And
Oh.
the only role of that committee is to approve that the fine or suspension be imposed or to reject it, not to modify it, change
Right,
it.
no modification of rules or anything.
Just impose it or not.
Okay. All right, Jen, do you have a motion cooked up for us over there?
I have one, for 1515 trout, to levy a fine of $1,000 for violation of covenant 32, unsightly or unsafe property conditions. The dates that they were notified?
No, the dates are
10
in
days.
10 days of violation.
It's $100 a day for 10 days, worth of the 10 days.
Oh, the 10 days started, May 31st, they got a 10-day notice.
So, May 31st to June 9th.
Okay. It's $100 a day for a total of that. And did you identify the specific rule or covenant?
Covenant 32.
Covenant 32.
Of the covenants.
And I know there are others, but these were what were on the agenda for today. So next time we'll go after,
Well, but they, okay, so according to this report, so it was about painting exterior and trim, and then also removal of the rubbish and debris, underbrush, unsightly growth, and everything removed from the property. So this one has 2 violations,
That's 2 different fines.
and it can be 2 different fines, but we can, so. If we want just the,
I think we should do both.
and this actually is referencing 2 different covenant numbers. Somebody have the covenants readily available? Is it 24 or 32?
Yeah, that's weird.
Do you have the covenants there? Okay,
Unsightly or unsafe.
make sure we get this documented properly.
And is that 10 days to remedy the issue?
It's
Or just a response?
every day of their violation. So if you're in violation, we can fine $100, and then for every day, but the cap is 1,000
It's not, you're not fining into the future. You're fining.
for what they did.
events that have occurred.
Wait, explain that again?
You're not fining into the future. You're not imposing a fine for future days. You're imposing a fine for violations that occur on specific days.
So if I get a notification on July 1st that I'm in violation, by July 10th is when, or July 9th is when I have $1,000 worth, so every day I'm getting fined $100?
Well, it's up to the board, but if that's what the board chooses to do, yes.
So if I have it fixed by July 6th, that's when that date stops?
Well, I think if the board chose to fine you for those 6 days that you were in violation, but I think to your point, the board could say, he fixed it,
Yeah.
Okay.
we don't need to go down this road because the problem's solved, and I think that would be,
The whole, the fine and suspension, fine is not a curative
right,
approach. It's a punitive approach.
Right.
Having violated.
right, because if they pay the 1,000, it doesn't get them off of the hook, they're still in violation of, so, so.
Okay.
So once you pay that $1,000, does it restart?
No, you can,
Yeah.
it's for a single.
Single offense? Okay.
It's a max. Walt, did you have a question?
Yeah, look, I think it's pretty obvious. To me, this is very important that we get it right, and it's pretty obvious we don't have our act together yet. I recommend we table this till next month, and that gives us time to get all this sorted out and have a motion that has done everything done correctly.
Yeah, I was leaning that way, Walt, but I think, rather than waiting a month, I think because these have been going on, for months as it is, and so, we could consider also just calling a special meeting, and if we get these, we can work with Bay Point West and ARC to get them typed up, you know, in advance, circulate it, and then we can have a call to quickly, you know, review them, vote, and approve.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, cause I don't want us to all sit here while Jen's trying to
Thank
piece this
you.
together,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
That's
would
what,
have
yeah,
the agenda, so I.
nope, absolutely,
Take
okay,
on my
so
responsibility.
now,
Thinking about 24,
I'm sorry,
24.
it was 24 and 32, it says it,
24 is no weeds, underbrush, or other unsightly growth shall be permitted to grow or remain upon any part of the property, and no refuse pile or unsightly object shall be allowed to be placed or suffered to remain
okay, yeah,
thereupon, including vacant parcels.
so yeah,
And 32 is long.
okay, so we'll get it, we'll get this organized, typed up, if we can work with you and Jim and get this, and we can pass it by John to make sure we're hitting all the necessary items, have it documented.
Once again, when the rules come in, like, they'll define unsightly objects.
Right,
Okay.
So it could be, if it's a rule as well as covenant provision, we can include everything.
everywhere that they, yeah.
Yeah, and then just to point out, in case anybody needs to know about the mediation provision, this is under section 720.311 of Homeowner Association Act. That is, the pre-suit mediation requirement, if it involves a dispute, basically a dispute is defined, as specific things, one of which is the use of your property.
Mhm.
Okay, so, if you, have a dispute, and you want to pursue litigation, you have to first do the statutory invitation to participate in pre-suit mediation, give the owner or whoever it is that's on the other side an opportunity to participate in this mediation process. And they have, once you send them the invitation or offer, they have up to 20 days to respond to agree to it. And if they don't respond, or if they respond and reject it, then you can proceed straight to filing a lawsuit. The hammer is that if you don't go through this invitation to mediate process, then if you pursue litigation and you win, and you would be entitled to recover your fees, you're not allowed to recover your fees if you had not gone through the mediation invitation process.
Okay, great, thank you, okay, so you have a motion out there,
I would like to table.
so rescind your motion,
I'd like to rescind my motion and
and
make
then,
a motion to table the violations. And have a special meeting about it in the coming weeks.
okay, so we have a new motion to table this item, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
That was all four.
This is for all four, yeah, just the agenda item altogether. Okay, so I will reach out to everyone to figure out when we can do this. And Jen, if we can lean on you to get it typed out, and then we'll get it to, John for review ahead of the meeting. Okay, the next,
Catherine?
oh, yes, yeah, Doug.
Just wanted to point out that in some of Denise's letters, it says that, you know, if you do not agree, you have 14 days for a hearing, and the hearings are held the second Tuesday of each month. The next hearing will be at Suite C, you know,
But I think this letter probably needs to be revamped because it's out of order. It's offering an appeal for a fine that hasn't been levied by the board.
Yeah, and there is no appeal, committee, I don't think. I don't know if there was one.
According to Deborah, we have one.
BPCA has one.
BPCA has one. Mhm. So,
But this letter is coming from Big Point West.
yeah.
And there will not be any problem with Bay Point BPCA levying these fines, even though all of these notices have come from Bay Point West.
It's for violation of, Bay Point covenants and rules.
Mhm. We don't have to give warnings, right? I mean, they know, if they're in violation, they're in violation, so. I think these are courtesies.
We have to give them time to repair the problem.
Right,
The rules are pretty clear, it's outlined and so I'm sure they've had time to fix the problem, but ignored it for not months, actually years.
yep. Okay, all right, well, we'll come back, to this when we have it, typed out, and we can all review that in detail before we pass these motions. Okay, so the next new business item is the BPCA employee handbook. To approve that, do we have a motion, and then we can have discussion?
I move to approve the handbook.
Do we have a second?
Walt.
A second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve the BPCA employee handbook. So now for discussion. I went through it today and I have a page of kind of some formatting items and, universal usage of HR versus human resources, things like that. Printing it to a PDF that we can actually use a word search function rather than a scanned copy. Like, so some of these little formatting things, and then I have a list of typos. I don't think any of that is substantive enough that we need to go through it line by line to approve it. But I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if anybody else has gone through in that detail.
Once we approve this, that doesn't preclude us from making,
Yeah, formatting,
improvement.
yeah.
Formatting and stuff like that, I don't think.
So, but I did wanna just put that on the record that there are some typos and things to address. But I do have, some comments for discussion. If others do, I'm happy to kick us off. I don't know how thoroughly people have read through this.
Who is the HR?
David is the standing. Okay, so on page 15, it talks about appraisals happening in May, June of each year, and I think it just is clear to select a month and just put it on the calendar, and that's the month that it happens. So I would say make it June, and that, page 15, under the appraisal section.
Was this reviewed by the attorney?
Yes.
Yes.
The attorney reviewed it,
Am I wrong?
yeah. So I think it has the blessing as far as this is standard boilerplate HR handbook kind of stuff, but really it's more now, I think, what we want, our employees to be held to.
So we'll do a 90-day and an annual that will be done in May or June.
Yeah, and I think just to make it more straightforward, just say June,
June, pick one.
yeah, just
So
pick
there's
one.
2 evaluations, in the first year. There's a 90-day and then an annual.
Yes. Is it a written appraisal at 90 days, or is it more of just a
I think
yes,
it's just
no?
a verbal, it's
Yeah.
verbal.
And then the written is every annual is, can we say June?
And I believe the reason it says May, June is because it's based on the budget year, whenever we start the budget process. That we wanted to get them, or those prior, wanted to get them all complete and, associate the upcoming year's budget to be approved at the July meeting, and I think that's why it says May, June.
Yeah.
So, but if you wanted to choose one, you just, if we choose June, we've gotta get it totally all done in June, because July 1st, the second week in July is when the budget's approved at the
Okay,
board
we
meeting.
can do May, I mean, just do it in May, we're picking a month, so.
That might be better.
Okay.
Is there a reason we wouldn't wanna do some kind of formal review in 90 days, written type of thing, just so it's documented?
They pass it, they keep working. If they pass it.
Yeah, I think if they
Yeah.
don't, they are terminated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's termination at 90 days if you're not up to speed or before.
Okay. Alright, so if everyone's good with May, then on, and I'll just go through, I mean, people, you know, obviously this is a board conversation. On page 16, lunch breaks, this is something we talked about in one of our last security meetings, that our staff do not leave for breaks for any reason, and I do think that this is something that we need to address, because I think this leads to retention issues, if people don't get breaks and can't go out, you know, go sit in the security office or do, you know, get out of that box, so I don't know if, I mean, I'd like that to be something that is addressed, and so we can address it. I think this is we can say what we want in the policy, but it's going to require hiring relief staff, you know, there'll be some budget implications if we hire more people, we need to rework the schedule, but in concept, I think that our staff should have breaks.
Yeah, because this says that they have to take a lunch break, but they can't leave
Right.
their post. So we are gonna not pay them for 30 minutes if they're gonna be
We're basically still working, because if somebody comes through and they're
Right.
mid-bite, they're gonna have to go let that person, talk to that person, so.
That's not a crummy way to treat your employees.
How does it work now?
They sit at the counter and eat, and then get up when people come. And we have a rule, or a policy that says don't eat and drink near computer equipment, but I imagine they're sitting right there, I mean, so we're violating our own rule. So, so I would like us to investigate how to make this, so, I mean, John, can we just list out the amendments we'd like to see, and that we approve pending those amendments? Okay.
Approve the subject to corrections.
Or, I mean, we've been without it this long.
Just kind
We
of talk
just
through
sit,
it.
Talk through it, and then it comes back next month.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to do it. So, in concept, breaks, what does the board think about the language around that one? Page 16.
So if they leave for lunch break, who fills their spot?
Well, that's the thing, we'd have to hire sort of a roving guard that would go around and provide these breaks.
Or supervisor.
Or a supervisor would go, I mean, we would
On
have to.
2 shifts, and then what do you do about your 3rd shift then from front gate?
Well, that's what, I mean, that's what I'm saying, like, I think
That's
we can
what y'all
talk,
get paid the big bucks for, to figure that stuff out.
but I think in concept, we can say we'd like to see that as part of our policy. And then have them come back with how to do it.
Catherine, I think this is about like the rules in the sense that, you know, once we approve them, at the very next meeting, we can add a rule, subtract a rule, or change the language as necessary. So once we figure out what we want to do with those breaks, then we'll just update that part of the handbook.
Yeah.
I think something can go.
Well, there's a lot of language in here that says we can amend, revise,
Right.
change without notification. It would be posted. I mean, there's a lot that protects us to be able to change this as needed, and that all the changes are
Doug?
effective. Yes, immediately. Yes, Deb?
Normally you don't get paid for your lunch break, for that 30 or 60 minutes, you don't get paid, you're on break. So, I don't know if some people would prefer to have that continuous, I'm gonna work my 8-hour shift, and then I'm done, and I'm not taking that 30-minute or 60-minute break. So there's a downside of requiring everyone to take that, especially the positions, like you said, the security people, they're in the booth. They can eat at the table grab a bite when they can and keep the people moving. If that works, and that's really, I think, should be, security needs to give us some information on that, how their employees feel about that. If you require them to take a 60-minute break so you can put someone else in there, then they are gonna have to work later.
Right. Well, this also dovetails into page 20, the smoking policy. So right now what's happening is people don't get breaks and therefore they stand outside of the gate and smoke. And so, or inside as has happened. And so, you know, that's the other, is just for what the image that we want, you know, with our security staff when people are pulling through the gate, you know. So I think, you know, addressing things that are going to improve employee retention, and that, we can maybe word it that breaks are available or something, but I think with smoking, that should only happen on a designated break in a designated area, not just at your whim, step outside the gate and smoke. So I have an issue with that language there. And then, pages 17 and 18, they both talk about pay increases, so it seems it's a compensation section and a pay increase. I think those can be combined. And then, 28 and 30, and two places on 30 and page 28 talk about PTO. And I think this is, right now it says you don't get your PTO until you've been here a year. And I strongly feel like that should be 90 days. And here again, I think that's a major retention issue, that if people can't take time off after a year. What's yours?
1 year.
1 year, you have to wait 1 year. Is that standard? You know, just for what you do?
Cause we get people all the time that stay 90 days and then take a week off and they're
And
gone.
just
We
leave.
want to know that people are committed before we give them time off. Paid time off.
Yeah, right. Thoughts around PTO from the board?
Jim, what's your turnover rate for employees?
What's the what?
Turnover rate?
We probably, I mean, if you could say, in a 10 count, it's probably 6 that come and leave. But they usually leave within 90 days.
Do you think that having PTO after 90 days would help keep them longer? Do they currently have PTO? What is it now, a year?
5 days at 1 year,
5 days in 1 year?
full time.
What's your 1 year PTO for your?
40 hours in 1 year. And then 5 years you get 80 hours, and then 10 years you get 120.
And that was one of my questions, is that schedule standard? I mean, where did that come from? But I guess if Rob looked at it, quickly. Does that sound?
Similar.
Okay.
Intermediary days.
And that's separate from, holidays too. Not PTO, that's not included in holidays.
Yeah, it's not included in sick days or holidays.
We don't get sick days.
We don't either.
And so maybe it's not an issue, that was just something that jumped off at me, that it's 90 days, not a year.
And I think Jim's right, I think most probably 70 or 80% of his turnover is in the first 90 days, and we were even gonna come and ask the board, something that we talked about a few weeks ago, ask the board to even approve us being able to, deduct from their check from the cost of the background and drug screening if they don't, last 90 days. 'Cause
And that's in here.
That's $82.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah, that's
the-
what we added that in there, that's just,
Yeah.
that was a new ad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's reasonable. Thoughts then?
I don't have time to review it. When did we get this again?
do we think that PTO after 90 days will make a difference on employee retention? No. How many do we have that are currently over a year? 4? 6 turnover and 4 stay?
Over a year,
Don't have it. Over, how many people over a year?
of yours right now, you've got about 11 or 12 people that have been here over a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And this is for office, admin staff, CPU, this is everybody,
That's all except for the salary.
the salary, okay.
Correct. They have a different schedule.
But do they accrue the PTO for the year that they worked? They just can't take it, or they just get no
Specific,
PTO?
who's that?
Uh,
The staff?
The hourly, yeah, the salary.
Hourly in that they, don't have any to use the first year. And as soon as they hit that anniversary, then I drop into 5 days.
Is that standard? I'm
Yeah,
looking
that part's
at
standard.
HR,
Yeah, that's
Guru?
standard.
okay,
Same way.
Okay.
We looked at going to an accrual basis, but it's too much to track.
right,
Yeah.
I think your root cause of the turnover is not
it's not PTO.
PTO, it's
A lot of it's money, is really, we got
Hours.
four people.
money and foundations.
And hours, okay, alright. Happy with that?
Can I take you back to page 15,
Yes, please,
under bonus checks,
yes.
and vary with the general economy and company profits. You don't have.
We don't have profits.
Profits. So, I think that language there just needs to be.
Strike it.
I'll strike it, I'll put it here on this list. Cause I have a long list of typos.
I mean, it's only-
Change it, financial condition or the
Just like make all those changes and send it out and.
I can't because it's a scanned copy, if I could get the,
If you give me the changes, I'll take care of it for you.
yeah, I mean, I could, have redlined it if it was a editable document, but I can send these to her,
The
so
thing the
strike.
bonus is referring to is the
Is
purpose.
there not a way to make it editable so we can see the
Yeah,
changes?
is this a Word document, the base document?
I believe it is, yeah.
Because once you read something
Yeah.
that's 30 pages long and then
Try to
you
go
make
back.
changes, but you don't really redline those changes, it's really hard to figure out
Oh,
what
yeah.
changes were made.
So, I can share these with you, if you can redline them in that Word document and just share that then as a PDF, then we can compare that. Okay,
Well, and on 15, I compared this, to another handbook that I found online for HOAs. And one question I had about the personnel file is the way this is written, does this exclude any of the board from being able to review a personnel file? So,
I saw that too, cause it says that only people that need it in the course of their business, or,
it says,
what was that?
access is limited to employees who require access to perform their job functions other than for Bpca business. It's kind of
That's a weird
strange-
sentence,
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't make any sense, and
And that's,
it just seems strange to me that that's changed in the wording that the
And what
entire
page?
paragraph is.
what page is that?
15.
Okay, I'll add that to this list too.
Evaluations on neutral, like 15.
Yeah, I have that.
And then, yeah, seniority on page 14, I mean, it's mentioned here that we consider continuous service, but then later it says, we're not guaranteed tenure, so I think that's a little bit inconsistent, possibly.
Okay,
And this is the attorney review?
Yep. This is Rob's attorney,
Yes.
yeah.
Trust me, it was real tough to figure out his handwriting. It was,
You handwrote it? He handwrote the revision?
his revisions to Devers were his suggestions, questions, revisions were all handwritten in. We had a committee of 3 trying to interpret it,
Oh, wow.
Okay,
so.
so,
John, is this guy at your office?
Yeah,
These are
yeah.
okay, so, so with the lunch break, staff uniforms and smoking, I mean, these are larger issues that I think security is working on in the committee. We can approve this as is because this is our current policy, and then continue to discuss those items, to be implemented at a later date. Or we can say, no, this is the policy we want, we need to work it out. But in which case, I think we need to make sure we have the plan worked out.
I think we need to address the smoking for sure, because I don't understand how this policy is, in compliance with the Florida Clean Indoor Air Act.
Yeah, I put that, but it does mention some indoor,
Yeah.
it insinuates an indoor facility, which that's not the case, you can't smoke anywhere inside, so.
Well,
So, yeah, I have that noted on here.
Well, yeah, whatever you think we're doing, I mean, I would like time to
Okay,
get feedback. even
well, why don't
about
we,
this on Thursday.
who made the motion? I break my brains. I don't know.
Walt made the motion.
Walt, would you, consider rescinding your motion, and we can table this for the next meeting pending some of these updates and further discussions?
Sure, I rescind my motion.
Okay, do we have a request, a motion to table this item?
I make a motion.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Walt. Jen, second? And we
Real
are,
quick before we.
wait, we've got a vote first. So all those in favor of tabling the handbook, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, so we will table this for now, but Deborah, thank you. And David and Nancy for getting us this far. So we'll continue to work.
This will be, yeah.
This will
Our
be
part's
the,
done.
yeah, our part's done. Line share the work is
I
done.
do have one quick question. What's our holiday pay policy right now?
2.5 times in that base and everything on those that work the holiday.
What are the
What I inherited, huh?
They're here.
8 holidays, board approved holidays, and that's the only thing we got to do to discuss and
Page
that for next year is
29.
whether or not we're gonna add Juneteenth as
Page
another holiday.
29.
So, the security guards that work on a holiday, right, in the past, they have always gotten double time and a half for working.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because if
They
you-
didn't seem aware of that, the guards that I asked.
Well, they sure as heck do if I miss an 8 hours in the wrong column on the spreadsheet and everything, and then they'll let me know right away they didn't get their 2.5 times.
So if I don't work on Christmas Day,
They get an 8-hour holiday,
I get
they're
an 8-hour
full-time,
holiday pay
Right.
on full-time. And then if I do work on Christmas Day,
double time and a half.
double time and a half. What do
Yes.
you- I keep looking at you, like, what do you do?
We don't work on holiday. It's mandatory.
Oh, everything shuts down.
Everybody
Yep.
take
Okay.
off.
Okay. And then the section indicates no work days, the ones that are asterisk, is that?
That's
Those are-
contractors, no work days.
and
Contractors aren't allowed to work in Bay Point on those days.
I see, contractors threw me, because I'm in an HR mindset, so I was thinking, like contract employees,
No,
not,
no, that's
okay.
contractors
So-
are allowed to work on those, asterisk holidays.
Do we need that in this policy?
We just use that calendar and that, or that holiday approved schedule and everything, and then note, on there which days. It's, cause it gets posted at the gates and everything else, so it's a separate page that we send out to the gates and all that, once it's approved by the board each year.
Yeah, I think I would suggest to remove that, cause we're blending to like a non-HR,
Just take that out of the
Yeah.
personnel manual, what we'll have to do when we get the board approval for the holidays for the next year, and then just have to denote which ones are the no work.
yeah, cause we can put that in our policy manual or in our, security manual or something like that. Okay.
John, I have a question. What is the rule on gifts?
The rule on gifts.
Yeah, like vendors giving gifts to the board or employees of the HOA?
Don't do it.
Not even if it's approved by the Human Resources Director?
That's different, you're not talking about board members.
So employees, it's okay for employees to get to receive business gifts, favors, meals, and entertainment from customers or suppliers and vendors. That's
There's-
okay?
There's no prohibition in year 720, there's no prohibition for that. The only prohibition is for officers and directors.
And
Receiving, and then you can receive gifts that are in connection with an education or
Right.
something like that. So that's one of our courses we can give out, donuts,
Right.
coffee and stuff.
what about, from owners? Because here we say customers or suppliers, I mean, I guess customers are owners, so we should probably change this word from who are our customers?
You're right. That needs to be changed.
Yeah, really it's owners or suppliers.
That's right.
And I know people that give a lot, like, do give gifts to security at Christmas or different things, and so this policy is saying, or if a homeowner brings a nice little goodie basket, like, we're saying we're not accepting those unless they're approved by you, or HR, by David.
So do I have to turn away the cookies that are brought to us?
And that's what I'm, cause I know you guys get cookies and cupcakes, and can we put up to $1 threshold? I mean,
Yeah, I like the idea of $1 threshold for that.
And or
Can I
consumable.
make a suggestion?
And-
non-consumable,
Right,
yeah,
no, yeah,
it can be consumable.
yes,
Yeah.
that's typically.
Yeah.
Coming out of corporate America, I was just about to say that was, you know, I allowed employees, if it were perishable items,
Mm-hmm.
to, accept it. I took them into the office, like from rental car companies or whoever. If it was not a non-perishable that all employees could consume, then it was a violation, we'll call it.
No Rolexes.
Mm-hmm.
No Rolexes, yeah. Unless they were for me.
Approved.
Okay, alright, I think we
No
can,
vacation.
I added some notes that we can, I think, clean that section, thanks for bringing that up.
But again, you're just talking about the staff.
But employees, this
Not
employee
talking
give
about
it,
board
no,
members,
no,
officers.
yeah, we get nothing, don't do it.
You're such high paid positions.
Okay. We get satisfaction of the job well done. Okay, I think, any other comments from the group or kind residents that are hanging in there with us? Okay, so we'll come back to that. Then we can move on to then our, old business, and this is just to come back to the discussion around the Bay Point logo, just an update. I did work with another attorney in John's firm that does the registration and everything. So the current, what we were calling the original logo, the one that's on the Jan Cooley gate, that is, it was at one time registered to what is now BP Links. That registration has lapsed, but she still felt that there would still be an issue with us trying to claim it as ours because it was, and she said, given the fact that going back to the 80s, it was all one entity, it split and all of that, and that the logo probably just has trailed along with the commercial property, not the HOA. So we're kind of at this place, like, what do we want to do about our logo? And the reason that this is important is because we're talking about signage, and that's going to cost money, and we don't want to go out and put signs up with a logo. I mean, a website and letterhead, we can do that overnight, but at no cost. But what do we want to do? So there's an option to reach out to the owner of BP Links to see about joint use. That might pull us into territory where I'll do that if you do this, given that we have some big asks coming. These are my thoughts or assumptions. And then, or do we just want to start and create a new logo, adapt the logo that Dan created? I mean, we have a couple ways to go here, but we just need to, I just want us to all be a part of this because there will be a monetary aspect to whatever we do.
Does anybody know how much we have to change for it to be non-proprietary? Not infringe on.
Right, I mean, I think,
Just add like real small homeowners underneath it.
Interesting you say that, cause I found a logo, I'm trying to find it now, on Canva that looks very much like our logo.
Yeah.
And it's just free to use, so, I mean, that's pretty much the old logo.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we can adjust that simply, then why would, you know?
Yeah, right, I don't think it has to be all, I mean, Bay Point Real Estate has a very similar logo. I mean, there are lots of logos of sunsets and, you know, circles, so,
I feel like that's a tough, it'd just be tough to, I mean, obviously, if we change the logo, we wanna be conscious of everybody's opinion, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of.
there's gonna be a lot of,
20 to
especially,
25% is my whole thing.
okay. This could also be a fun neighborhood contest where you know, or we hire a graphic designer, or, I mean, so, I'm open to thoughts.
Zach wants to be on that committee.
No.
Right.
It's 25% change, it's on canvas, I would assume that it's somehow open source. It's free. Fully customizable.
I mean, I'd be open to say, I mean, if we're leaning away from the joint use, I mean, I feel like, I mean, you're changing 40, you have 40 years. Like, I mean,
Right, there's a lot
I
of
don't wanna be,
heritage.
hey, yep, let's
Yeah.
get rid of it, so.
Well, but that already happened. I mean, our signage reflects
Yeah, and I
a
think-
logo
but
that
wasn't
unilaterally
neighborhood buy-in or
changed,
buy-in. You
right.
Woke up one day and there's new
And it
stickers
was all
everywhere.
different, right, and I
Yeah, I mean,
definitely,
I'm upset about that, like, you
Yeah.
know, you're gonna change the history of this neighborhood just cause you want to, that's not right.
so maybe we can open up to some community engagement surveys,
Yeah.
like Big Point West is doing, or I think we can get some community buy-in and,
I mean, we use this logo too, I mean, the stickers on our cars are this old logo, so I mean, we have the case that we've been using it also.
Yeah,
Do we not?
I think there's no
I
way that
mean-
you can say that the golf course has any more right than the letterhead that's been going around for 40 years.
Yeah,
well, our letterhead,
Apparently it was.
registered to an entity that is not us. But that's different, that's not even the same logo, this is our letterhead. And then you go to our website and it's different, and you go to
Yeah,
Jan Cooley Gate or Legends.
yeah,
So
this is
is that
different,
right? Is that
this is
the logo we
different
wanna
than
go with?
that.
I don't even know honestly where I got that from, to me.
I feel like the logo we want to go with is the one that was on the back of Jan Cooley. That one reminds me.
This one, like the classic,
Yeah. So,
And that was registered to,
that's not even, it wasn't on Jan
What was
Cooley either, cause I think it was above and just like
yeah,
where the location of the words are, but.
so that was registered to move before, in the 80s?
I feel like the biggest thing this gets in trouble with is if you monetize anything with it. 'Cause the golf course does sell apparel.
and that's the thing, so they have a whole store full of golf shirts and hats and things, and so we have nothing, we have no commercial interest in selling something that has that logo on it.
Can I not say like community association?
The marina has merchandise now too with that
Same logo.
same logo.
They completely changed, they rebranded.
I was in there the other day and I thought they says Bay, oh, you're right.
Yeah,
It
it's
says
Point
Bay
South.
Point on it, but
It's
it-
Point South.
Point South.
And it's
Point
Helen.
South. You're right, you're right.
And it's red and blue, not blue and orange.
Okay,
I mean,
sorry.
Yeah, no, thanks.
well, the only reason I mean, I feel like this is a more important issue than it even sounds like, given that right now, we have nothing, like, we have nothing that, you pull up to Bay Point, there's nothing there. There's not a single Bay Point logo left at the entrance of our gates.
Right.
I think the contractors are even asking, what are we gonna do with that?
Yeah, so this is the email from her that I did forward around a while back, but, USPTO isn't going to register it with the golf course use of it. I think her concern is just that they are actively, they have the merchandise and all of that. They have a lot more, but this is it was the Bay Point, it was the Bay Point Yacht and Country Club that had it. It was filed in 1984, registered in 1986, and now it is canceled, invalidated. And then there was then Dalton Country Club. This is dated back to
All the
1986.
Bay Point one, does it matter that they all say golf club?
Right,
Is that ours, would, you know, what if we just did the exact one that said
community.
community?
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, can we drop that just on, when we have the logos on the gate? I mean, it'd be nice for
Right.
Does John Warren the source for this?
No, this is not, no,
This
not
is
at
not
all.
related to that,
This
right?
is more related to the fact that we have all these different logos. The signage was changed without board approval to change logos and just to try to, and we wanted to keep the original logo. So, okay, well, I'll go back to, I just wanted to kind of update and hear everybody's thoughts. I'll go back to, Leslie and just kind of, I mean, the point about, doesn't say golf club, which entity is the surviving entity of this old registration, how it was split off?
Is it worth just asking John, hey, can we use this logo, can we get a rather use? We are not gonna have any trade-offs, if you want a trade-off,
Yeah,
there's no discussion, no
Yeah.
further discussion, just,
Yeah.
can we use it, if not, okay, no big deal, we'll make adjustments.
I think
I
we
mean,
can.
with that discussion, avoid,
Okay,
he might tell us, you know,
right, I think, yeah,
forget it, or he might say, yeah, it's been the association logo forever.
okay. Well, alright,
He's gonna build houses,
yeah,
so
Yeah.
he's gonna want it
So-
to look nice all over.
alright, so we still have some work to do here. I will, I can reach out to Leslie and John on this, and then we'll keep everybody updated. And then if we did come to a point where we change, I think we can all agree this needs to be a community, some community involvement. Alright, with that, do I have a motion? Yeah, sorry, any comments from people on the phone? On this topic?
Nope, probably.
Okay. Alright, great, thank you. Alright, with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Make a motion to adjourn.
Alright, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion adjourned. Thank you. And we do have a closed meeting, so I'm actually going to hang up this phone, and then if the board members can call back in, please, just to make sure we know who's on the call. Thank you, yeah, and we'll do a quick 5-minute recess.